Mute, you guys.
Caribbeans back to them motherfuckers. Take them back to Europe with y'all.
Yeah, me too.
Gay ass here, Caribbean African fucking gay ass gorilla looking. Shut up, your ugly body. Nasty ass mutating, permutating, corrugating, etiolating skin. Shut up, your body don't even last long enough. I'm gonna look younger than him by the time he's my age. I don't care about them ugly ass kids in your race. Shut up.
89,
Plastic ass body.
86.
Little debilitated, innervated, emasculated, feeble, incapacitated, indisposed, emaciated, attenuated, tenuous body. I don't care about you. Shut up, you white monkey. You a dog in this country. You're a dog. You're nothing over here. You are a dog. Shut up. I'm Black American. I'm over you.
Enemy territory here. Hello, it's Wednesday and it's time for Pop and Politics. We are talking about the latest in hot topics, news, and entertainment. I'm KJ, and let me introduce you to my co-hosts. We have Shelly E, Yana, T, and joining us tonight, we also have Malik Abdul joining us, back with us tonight. Again, as I always say, join the conversation by leaving a comment on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. We will check the comments periodically throughout the show. And don't just comment, subscribe. Subscribe to our social media so you always know when we post new content. Also, if you like independent media and want to support what we do, donate. Any amount is appreciated. You can do that right on our website at www.popandpoliticslive.com. For up-to-date information, again, we are a necessary voice in news and entertainment. All right, how's everyone doing tonight?
Great.
Yes,
Awesome.
good. I'm glad to have you back with us tonight, Malik. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. I'm always happy to come on. So whenever you call, I'm here.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you for joining.
All right, so we are going to start right into this. So much stuff to talk about. So we're going to go into what we had at the top of the hour was that the subway shooting. So particularly that was something different, that subway interaction that we showed. But we're talking about the Jordan Neely suffocation, so strangling. So last Monday afternoon, Jordan Neely, 30, was menacing people on an F train in lower Manhattan, according to witnesses, when another passenger put him in a chokehold. The medical examiner has ruled the death a homicide. It's up to police and prosecutors now, and if it comes to that, the jury to determine whether this killing was justified, self-defense, or just another subway murder. All right. So we all saw this. This has been all over the headlines and the news. Malik, I want to start with you. Isn't this a law and order issue? Ensuring order on the subway means that Neely wouldn't have been able to act in a way that made people scared. It also makes it less likely that a fellow passenger would react in the same way to feeling scared. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so this, I say this as someone who, as long as I've been in DC, I'm a public transit rider. I've never had a car. So for me, the idea of encountering people or even being in situations where I've been uncomfortable on a train, you could tell there are people who clearly have mental issues where they're yelling on the train, they're screaming, they're, acting in ways that, just through their mental illness alone, they end up making you uncomfortable. So on the one hand, what I will say about this is that I do not believe that we should live in a country where people feel for people take it upon themselves in dealing with situations where people clearly have mental illnesses, to take it upon themselves to not just restrain people, but choke them to their death. Again, I say this as someone who's been in those uncomfortable situations. There are a lot of things that we yet just don't know about what happened. The numbers vary. Sometimes it started with 15 minutes and then it was down to 7 minutes. But according to the fire department themselves, I think the first call that they got about it was about 3:29 on that day, and they arrived within 7 minutes later. We still don't know the timeline of how long his he was choking him at that point, but clearly there were other people on the train, some of whom even assisted him. So I think before we get into the left versus right or whatever the case may be, we should talk about the tragedy that this is, because yes, it was an issue of law enforcement, but even as I know, being here in DC, I'm sure it's the same in Baltimore, there aren't enough officers to cover the entire system. So it's a complete failure at all levels and not just a specific thing that led to his ultimate death.
Yeah, complete failure. And I certainly agree with that. And again, we are all urbanites. As you mentioned, Malik, you live in DC. We're from Baltimore. I can certainly speak for myself, that I have had so many encounters with homeless people. It being in Baltimore City, you go downtown, you can actually step in human feces. Not just the subway, but public transportation has become very combative. What are your thoughts here, Shelley? Again, in New York City, he was the bystander put him in a chokehold. As Malik said, people around didn't seem like they were stopping him. They were actually kind of helping him, this bystander, with this man in the chokehold. What are your thoughts on the Neely situation?
So first, when I first saw it, what caught my eyes was because someone was strangled. I'm going to get the terminology correct. Yes, we use chokeholds, and police are often trained military maybe as well, trained to perform chokeholds. But technically, he was strangled to death. I'm saying to death. It was ruled a homicide. I think this is a justifiable case to take to court. And as Malik said, there are so many more details to come out. However, this is a larger systemic failure. It's a failure on the part of Neely and his family for not having his needs met however long he's been with these maybe mental issues. And it was certainly, I think, a failure on the fact of the I guess I'm going to call him the perpetrator, the guy who strangled him, the ex-Marine, in that, and I'll say this, in that maybe he was too quick to rush to judgment. That's just my thoughts. I'm not saying that's legally proven. That's just my thought. However, I can certainly understand. I have ridden the subways in New York. It's a wonderful system when it works well, right? It gets you all over New York City and beyond. So I have ridden those subways, and there are people there that will literally, homeless people mostly, that will ride the subways. They virtually live on the subways in New York to some degree. So citizens, again, we have a case where the system is ignoring citizens, legal, rightful citizens' rights, who pay the taxes, and catering to the people who really should not be allowed to roam free.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at this. But before Neely's death, from March 2020 until early April, 27 people lost their lives to murder in the subway. Many of them, like Neely, were homeless young people. Before 2019, it took 15 years for New York to rack up 28 murders on the subway. So we have Malik and we have Shelley saying this should go to court. I want to get your thoughts on this, Yana. Do you agree that the Marine went too far, or was he acting, trying to keep everyone safe?
So I've lived in New York and in DC, most of my life in DC. I have been harassed on the metro, sexually harassed. I was kicked. I've seen people going absolutely crazy. What I have to say is that from my experience, I want to give props to DC police, because I had to come to their help a few times. And so I do not feel bad for this guy. if this was happening to me and he was yelling and like coming near me, like I would be pulling out my pepper spray and spraying him. I don't care. And like if something bad happened to him, I really, really, really don't care. Like he was there. Why was he harassing people? You go around harassing people who are just trying to get to work and home. That's ridiculous. So yeah, and if the police wasn't there to, you know, restrain him and people had to take matters in their own hands, that is his doing. Nobody was trying to kill him. But if something happened, you know, he died, okay, that was his fault.
Yeah, I want to talk about this man who died. So, 30-year-old black man. His mother died in 2007 when he was 14. More than 4 years later, he testified at the murder trial of his mother. So his mother was killed by her boyfriend, an abusive boyfriend, where Neely lived with and watched this abuse for many, many years. He's a high school dropout. And, you know, he's had dozens of arrests. Apparently, he had drug abuse. He was a drug abuser. They say he may have been high on K-pop, which is a synthetic marijuana, and he suffered from mental illness. Okay, so isn't this a failure of our education system within urban cities? I mean, when you look at this man's profile, he fits the profile of a lot of Baltimore City kids. I mean, they dropping out of school, living in trauma-filled homes. How are we creating this environment, Taria, where, you know, and now with, you know, the lack of police within urban centers, we have to take care of it ourselves. We have to defend ourselves. It's just like Wild Wild West. What are your thoughts?
This is not a cookie cutter situation. There is a number or variety of issues that went wrong, as Malik said, in this case, even up to, I think, the killer. For him being Marine, I mean, should we even bring in a question of PTSD? Because why was he so quick to jump and kill the man? So there's a variety of issues here. And yes, the profile of the young man who who died, it fits the narrative. It fits the profile of many, many inner city children or people with mental issues, or, you know, there's just it's a variety of things here. But I think that, yeah, we're talking about systems. If we want to bring in systems, then it's a failure in many ways.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he wasn't quick to kill him. I mean, and again, this was not just him and this homeless man on the subway. There were multiple people out there. There was a citizen journalist who chronicled and gave a testimony to the police or an account of what happened. So, I mean, are you guys actually saying that multiple people let this man kill him like this on the subway for just
it's possible. It's possible. That is possible. That's possible. Don't get me wrong. I'm not blaming the people. I can certainly understand why the Marine jumped up. Hell, he's a Marine. He's put his life on the line, right? He's used to protecting people. Thank God for him for his service. I'm not disputing that. But it is very possible that people, quote unquote, using your language, let this happen. But again, I want to answer your question.
Why was it possible people let it happen?
But it didn't happen. He died, didn't he?
Right, but why do you think people let it happen?
Because I'm going to answer the question. This is a system failure, and it does start with the community, the family, or whatever. Right? I don't know who that is. Hi, doggy. But listen. When we don't have schools that work well, we don't have politicians that are doing what they're supposed to do. Taxes, people are paying taxes and getting zero services, the services that they should get. So the system goes way back. But guess what? Who's voting for these people? These things are happening mostly in the urban areas, like you said, where they are largely, yes, Democrat run, and Democrats vote for these people. So we keep getting the same things churned over and over again. What are we going to expect?
And here they want to, what do they call the police? To ban the police? What's the saying now they used to have?
Defund the police.
Defund. They want to defund the police and bring in mental health professionals. What good would that have brought? Because, say, for instance, the mental health professional was a Marine, and he would have done the same thing. I mean, we're not. We need to fix the whole system all the way around. But everybody's not going to make it.
Malik, I want to get your thoughts on this because they, the left is choosing the narrative of white supremacy on this. We do hear some who are saying this was white supremacy. trying to say that, fix it to say that that was the issue here. What are your thoughts there? Is this sort of black and white, or is this something else at play here?
Well, I think the conversation is a bit more nuanced and layered than people want. Obviously, when we have these conversations immediately, what happens, we try to figure out which tribe we belong to. So immediately, because the dynamic that it was a white guy choking a black guy, immediately the people who wanted to see race, I call it the for-profit race industry, those race hustlers immediately went to, this was an extension of white supremacy. They didn't know anything about the gentleman. They didn't know anything about the victim itself. That's where they immediately ran to. And then what happens on the right in response to that, then we start peddling actually then things about whether it's black people or about Neely itself. I'm one of those who believes that it didn't matter what Neely's history was, because the Navyman, he didn't know that at the time that he choked him. So for what we've gathered thus far, the biggest thing that we've seen, the most aggressive thing that, at least according to the New York Times, that Neely did was throw his jacket on the ground. And at some point, the Navyman was told that he was defecating on himself, and it seemed as if he was passing out. So this is what the New York Times reported, that the and maybe that Navyman was suffering from PTSD, but I think that there is still a level of negligence on his part, because at some point you had to feel the life slipping out of the person who you were strangling. You just had to know that at some point.
I want to jump in. I want to play this clip again, because I don't know if everyone saw it at the top of the show. This is clip number 1, and then I want to get you guys' thoughts here.
Caribbeans back to take them back to Europe with y'all.
Yeah, me too.
Gay ass little Caribbean African gay ass gorilla looking. Shut up, your ugly body. Nasty ass mutating, permutating, corrugating, mediolating skin. Shut up, your body don't even last long enough. I'm gonna look younger than him by the time he's my age. I don't care about them ugly ass kids in your race. Shut up. Plastic ass body. Little debilitated, enervated, emasculated, feeble, incapacitated, indisposed, emaciating, attenuating, tenuous body. I don't care about you. Shut up, you white monkey. You a dog in this country. You're a dog. You're nothing over here. You are a dog. Shut up. I'm Black American. I'm over you.
All right. So
Wow.
I'm a mom. There's mothers here, aunties, uncles. What would you have done if you were in? She had a little boy on her lap. It's between the husband and wife or whoever. They were 2 adults. Little boy there, and this man is going off. This is not a one-off. I was walking downtown Baltimore a couple years ago, and I had a homeless person run up in my face and just start screaming. A couple people had to come over and move the man from. Is this the new normal? Is this what we're supposed to go through? What's going on? What would you guys?
Yeah. You're not gonna like the answer, but to some degree, yes. And let me tell you what, I'm as horrible that jackass is what he was, and probably even worse. That man and that family, thank God that he was reserved enough to just sit there. And I mean, he took the castigation of this idiot, right? So that's what he should have done, because we better be careful when we're talking about when we need to defend ourselves, because as ignorant, as idiotic, as jackasses as that guy was, he has the right to say whatever he wants. I'm not justifying what he said. I'm not excusing it, but I'm saying if we're going to talk about First Amendment, he can say what he wants. That man and his family, thankfully, he did not respond physically unless that man has come to him physically. So at that point, it was a verbal assault. So there are legal lines. I'm not justifying that jackass. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying we still need to be clear where we draw the lines.
Well, the thing is that verbal harassment, at this point, that's the story that has been told about Jordan Neely. He didn't physically assault anyone. He was saying a lot of things verbally. And so and I can assure you that if that white guy, because at that point, it's hard to argue that was not threatening, that black guy was not being threatening to him and his family and his child. And if he had gotten up and restrained him, much like the Navyman did Jordan Neely, the conversation would be totally different. And then people would be saying, another example, this is a white supremacist, a lynching, which is what they called. Even though I don't agree, I think that the Navyman was negligent. I don't think that that was a lynching like Congresswoman Presley and AOC, and that wasn't a lynching. But they would have said, if that white guy had choked that guy out, even if he didn't die, if he choked him to the point that he passed out, they would be calling him a white supremacist, asking for a hate crime investigation. That's a fact.
Yeah, but the difference here, and again with that video, the guy was very combative, but Neely specifically said he'd kill everyone on the train. He was saying he was going to kill everyone on the train.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is a threat. I had to call the police one time. I had the same similar situation in DC where a guy was yelling, "I'm gonna like pop, the last bullet in your head." Like I'm sitting there and I'm hearing it, like in the other end of the train car. And thankfully, I had a text number, text message you can text to the police. And actually, a police lady had given me that number in the past. So I texted it and they showed up immediately. Like as soon as it pulled up to the next train station, the police came and they tased the guy like right away for yelling these kind of threats. So, I mean, we have to respond to it. And also, when I look at this, it makes me think of, it's so sad, there are women on the train, children on the train, and this guy is yelling and making threats, and the guys are just sitting back. Like, like for me, I'm thankful for anyone who will get up and defend not just my safety, but also like my honor. Like where's that? Like why is the guy is yelling, he has the right to, but come on, like there's more to it. But there's you don't allow something like that to happen in a civilized society.
Well, it took the cops 17 minutes to show up for the Neely incident. I mean, to me, it's again. I mean, we know now. Sunday morning quarterbacking with the guy with the child and the two adults. But if you're in the situation and you can't see the future, 17 minutes for the police to show, you don't know if this guy is going to go off. You don't know what type of weaponry he may have on him. And then when somebody does something, again, I mean, I wasn't there. I don't know as far as the chokehold. I don't know if he went too far or whatever. But it seems to me somebody...
obviously he went too far.
Somebody needs to do something. And again, well, we knew, we weren't there. We may think that he went too far, but the people that were there didn't think so. That's what just boggles my mind. People that were there, no one said stop.
Well, they're used to it's New York. They're used to the crazies. They're used to these people acting this way. So most times they just ignore. But I mean, if you're used to all the crazies threatening people or saying crazy things, and then someone has them in a chokehold, I just might be like, you know what, he probably deserved that chokehold right now because there's so many crazy people in here doing so many crazy things. I mean, I don't want them to die, but
George Floyd, when police had their neck on,
exactly
on the neck, people said stop. They would tell him stop, let him up. Even the guy who was selling the cigarettes in New York, when the police had him, you saw a bystander saying stop. Nobody said stop in this situation. So what happened or transpired for no one to intervene?
So what you're saying, KJ, it sounds like what you're describing with those people on the train. It's no different to when they're not saying anything. We see this every day here where we live. Too many of us don't get up and push back either. We allow things to go on, whether systemically, people getting shot. Too many of us are quiet. There are not many people to show up at the school board meetings protesting either. So that mentality to just sit back and whatever you want be a cog is rampant as well.
Well, I want to give you the last word on this, Malik, as our guest tonight on this. Where do you see this going? We have prosecutorial discretion Do you believe charges will be pressed?
There'll definitely be calls for it. Like I say, I believe that the guy is at least negligent, if nothing else. It may not be like a first degree. It doesn't. I don't think it's something that he planned to do. And I think that the people were there. A number of them don't intervene for the same reasons that most of us wouldn't intervene. You're afraid. You don't know what's going to happen. But I don't think he planned for this to happen. But I do believe that he was negligent, and ultimately he ended up dying. But it's going to be weaponized at much like every mass shooting is, just as they were the mass shooting that we just had in Texas, the same one we just had in Georgia. Different races involved, so people are going to cover it a different way. But we have to do better all around, and that's someone who's had, I'm sure probably a number of us have just dealt with mental illness in our family. It's much easier, it's not something, it's like drug addiction. It's not something that's easy to deal with. And because we've defunded a lot of our mental institutions, a lot of these people, that's why they're on the street, because they're homeless. And in Neely's case, I believe the fact that he was homeless, that if he were dressed in a suit and tie and was being choked like that, I think that the people on the train would have responded differently as someone who's seemed to be homeless, because they are in many ways, in the eyes of many people, much more disposable. A guy in a shirt and tie, they would have intervened.
Right. Well, we will continue to follow this story. Thank you so much. I know you have to go, Malik. Thank you so much for joining us on the top of
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And where can people find you? There we are. We have your website. If you want more from Malik, he is a conservative political strategist. You can find him at malikabdul.com.
Absolutely. And Malik Abdul _ on Twitter and Instagram.
Excellent. All right. Next time.
Take care.
Bye.
All right, so we are moving right along. Thank you so much for joining us. If this is your first time watching, it's going to get heated. It's going to get hotter, so stay tuned. We got a lot of show to go. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button and notifications button so you know when we go live. This is every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so definitely subscribe. So we're going we're going to keep it going to The View. Yes, we are. The View made some comments. Yes, the ladies of The View made some comments this week regarding the mass shooting that occurred last week in Texas. Take a look at this. This is clip number 2.
That's right, and I'm glad you qualified it at the end, because it's a Republican issue. It's frankly not elected officials, because most Democrats want what I want, which is a ban on assault rifles, right? And I want it right now. Yeah. Again, we saw that it's what the President of the United States, Joe Biden, keeps asking for. We got a piddly little gun reform law because it's the only thing we could get passed for decades after things like this continue happening. And, we should be angry. I keep saying we need to keep anger alive and channel it into the voting booth.
So that was Anna Navarro from The View, Tweedledee. We'll hear from Tweedledum in a few minutes. Again, she is supposed to be conservative, supposed to believe in the Constitution, and yet, once again, this Tweedledum wants to infringe on our rights and put restrictions on the Second Amendment. As she mentioned, President Biden has called for a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, universal background checks, and an end to immunity for gun manufacturers. Shelley, I want to get your response to her.
First of all, Anna, she is a fool, okay? She said something, she was very clever, but she said something about the Democrats want gun control. But guess what? The Democrats are the ones who do not want to keep the criminals locked up, okay? They're the ones that are churning them through the revolving doors, sending them back out to be menaces to the rest of us. Anna, you are a fool. What you call her, KJ, Tweedledee, whatever. Yeah, let's bang that drum, dummy, because you are a fool. rule. Republicans, by and large, conservatives, we want to preserve our rights, but we also want to equip and train legal people, legal gun owners to protect themselves. Because you, Anna, and your co-host would have all of us hemmed up, locked up. Basically, we would be targets, soft targets for the people that you and your side don't want to keep behind bars.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, why aren't we? And again, she was talking about the mass shooting in Texas. I believe 8 people were tragically killed. But there was another tragic incident also. There was an auto accident. I believe there was someone in Texas as well, same weekend, that was maybe driving under the influence and also killed 8 people. So are they talking about banning cars? I mean, why aren't we discussing the events in culture that lead to a person picking up weapons with the intent to kill innocent people? Yana, I want to get your thoughts on this. I mean, again, they want to take away guns. They want to restrict our rights, our Second Amendment constitutional rights. What are your thoughts?
Well, when I think of the United States, really, like, it's been interesting for me thinking, comparing United States to other countries. And, I came from Russia. I have my heart really is in both places. But when I think of both places, I have to say the United States, one thing about United States is what separates this country from others is our right to have weapons to defend ourselves, and not just to defend ourselves against bad guys of whoever robbers, but against the government itself. Like, that concept is really kind of foreign to other people in the world, because what they want in other countries, they just what the Democrats want and what this lady wants is they want the government as to be our protector, our daddy, our, this someone who will always be
A
there to
God,
defend us,
a God.
a God. Yeah. So, that's what they want. And that is the only thing right now that is separating the United States from these other countries where people practically do not have rights. They are, they might feel comfortable, they might be okay right now, but who knows, when the government changes or the government decides to do something to them, how are they going to defend themselves?
Yeah. And the data does not support the argument for more gun control. All right. And this is what Tweedledee and Tweedledum just don't get. Only 12% of mass killings are mass public shootings. Most mass killings are murders of family members or intimate partners and felony related killings. In the U.S., mass public shootings, according to Pew Research, account for less than 0.5% of all gun deaths every year. I mean, why are they continuing to try? They put this gun control. It's not even a real solution because there are so many guns from legal owners in the market. It's impossible to confiscate all of these guns. What are your thoughts there?
I can't explain it because it doesn't make sense. However, it's not all guns. They just want to ban assault rifles.
That's a lie. No, they don't. That's a lie. No, they don't. They want to take all guns because, first of all, what is an assault gun or an assault rifle? That's what they say.
Automatic guns.
But wait a minute, and they're not automatic. They're not even automatic.
Automatic already.
They're semi-automatic rifles. Number one. Number two, when they say assault, right? When we know, even according to the Pew Research, I even wrote that down today too. Most of the crimes are committed with handguns, which are also semi-automatic. That they're no different. They shoot the same mechanism. They shoot the same way. They want to take away every gun from every legal gun owner. That's what they want. That is a lie that they only want to take away assault rifles. There's no such thing as an assault rifle. Any weapon can be an assault weapon.
Yeah.
Can I finish what I was saying?
Yes, please. Yeah.
They want to take away for the assault rifles because they feel like those are the ones that are killing people in numbers, but they don't understand that. Like, I mean, Shelley just said my point, so there's nothing else for me to say. Thank you, Shelley.
Yeah, and like you said, yeah, and what, yeah, I like to come back to something Yana said about our Second Amendment rights. You know, when you talk about gun restrictions, you know what groups are hurt most? Minority groups, people, middle class, and people who are not affluent, and people who don't have power.
Women, also women.
Right. These are the ones that are hurt mostly by gun restrictions. Because the Second Amendment,
criminals are they're gonna get their guns. They get them from the street.
Right. And notice how the Second Amendment is necessary. It doesn't say that the Second Amendment is necessary to your personal safety. The amendment concerns the security of a free state. It's there to protect us from government overreach. Government overreach. And so that's where you have the problem. And we know in history, when they tried to restrict guns, they did it for slavery, they did it for the Black Panthers. This is an issue that minorities need to get behind and push back against. But you guys keep voting for these Democrats who want to rule you, control you, and take your guns. And
because they want a benevolent master. Mm-hmm. Everybody, they want to be slaves, and they think that the master, the government, the president is gonna love them. They really think that the government loves them. Like, really? No. Like, they will take away your property. They will take away your right to speak. How are you gonna keep the right to say what you want if you can't defend yourself against the government?
It's like the Stockholm syndrome. It's like they know, well, they feel like they're oppressed, or they feel like they need to be in control, or they don't have control, but then they look to the government to control them. So it's very double-minded. People are confused and out of their minds. They don't know what they want to believe.
I bet you the View, wherever they tape from, I bet you they have security loaded in that place. Okay,
with guns, right?
Exactly, right? But they want us to be ass out for their dumb asses. Again, everything they say, just about most of the things, that it's dumb. Not only is it dumb, they say things that are very deadly.
Yeah, talk about that. Take a look at this. This is clip 3. This is Tweedledum right here.
Health issues all over the world.
I know I have mental health issues, and I'm not.
Right, and there's young boys watching porn all over the world. There's loneliness all over the world. The only place where we have an epidemic of war-style weapons is in America, and it's where we have an epidemic of mass shootings. And
but that doesn't solve anything.
I think we
that
need
brings
to
us
mention
right to the
this over and over again, and I mention it over and over again. People that have mental health issues are much more likely to be the victims of crime than commit crime. Yep. I hear Republicans want to talk about everything else other than easy access to guns. They want to talk about undocumented people. They want to talk about immigration. They want to talk about mental health. They want to talk about everything under the sun, but they don't want to talk about the guns. The guns are the problem because, as you just said, Anna, I don't know what Governor Abbott was talking about. People are angry, and that's why this is happening. People are pissed off all over the world.
We are seeing people shooting people, pulling up at their door, pulling away from their house.
They're pissed off all over the world, but they're only killing people here.
Something else is going on here.
Yeah, I think what's going on. Her and the Democrat Party locked down the country for 2+ years over a. I don't want to get.
Yeah. This
is what, and they have caused they closed schools, they closed businesses, they locked people in solitary, in alone in their homes because of a virus that affected like 1% of the population. They closed everything down, and now you have a mental health crisis.
Yeah, and she's complaining.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Yana.
No, she's complaining that Republicans are talking about undocumented people and mental health. Like, why we shouldn't talk about this? Like
Right.
that is the problem. And the thing is that people with mental health issues, they will find a way. Like, it's not just guns. They can hurt people any other way. There's cars. I mean, they can hurt people with their car. They can hurt people with knives. I mean, with anything. So like mental health and guns, that's, it's the person who is doing the crime. It's not the gun. It's the person. And the person who has mental health issues, we need to deal with that. We have a soul problem. It's not just a mental problem. It's the whole country's soul problem.
Right.
And the undocumented people, I mean, who knows what kind of things they might be having. You can't even if you can't document them, how are you going to control what they purchase? Or I mean, that is a serious problem, because they might be dangerous and you don't even know who they are, and they're not documented anywhere.
Yeah, let's correct Miss Sunny again, okay? First of all, most legal gun owners purchase their firearms from legal dealers. They're called FFLs, right? Federal Firearm Licensees. So they purchase them there. Criminals don't do that. When you buy a gun from an FFL or a firearm of any type from an FFL, you automatically go through a background check. So this idea that we need more background checks, that's bull crap, okay? It's done right there. Most states, it varies as far as the time limit, but most states have a built-in waiting period during that background check while you're waiting for your background check to go through. These are legal gun owners, okay? These are the people who know that they don't have any records. They have no reason to not want to follow the law. So Miss whatever her name is, Miss Tweedledum, okay? She's ignorant. That's not true. There are background checks. There are stipulations and laws in place where legal gun owners, the criminals, the same criminals, the ones that they vote for, the Democrat Party, these are the ones who are harboring the criminals. Remember, we talked about this a few weeks ago in Maryland. Not one bill in Annapolis, not one bill addressed criminals having a stronger sentencing for their crimes, and even more crimes with handguns. But what did they do? They put more stipulations on legal gun owners. These people are frauds. They're fake. They are deadly, because what they vote for and what they propose and advocate for will get more people killed.
Exactly. And Miss Sunny, she needed to be called Gloomy. First, if you want to talk, I'm a Republican, and let me tell you what I think we need to do: outlaw gun-free zones. That's what we need to do, because we find in areas where legal gun owners are prohibited from carrying a gun, that's where they try, these nuts try to blow up, kill and shoot up schools. Gun-free zones often include stores, schools, movie theaters, and criminals are emboldened to attack these areas because they know nobody is going to be there with a gun. If you look at the Outlet Mall in Texas and the Christian School in Nashville, they were both gun-free zones. From 1988 through August 2019, more than 85% of the mass public shootings occurred in gun-free zones. So this is a Republican giving you a solution. Get rid of these gun-free zones and let us arm ourselves against these nuts. Protect our children, protect our malls, protect the innocent. That's what you need to do. Not get rid of our guns and then make these laws that don't criminalize and put these nuts in jail. Every one of us, all these black people voting for Democrats, need to stand up against this stuff. Because guess what? Law-abiding gun owners is what's going to protect you and your home against these nuts in the urban cities.
That's
that
right.
Are out in jail and not being put behind bars.
Democrats are deadly. Democrats are deadly.
Exactly. And like you said, Shelley, we need to allow for universal recognition of concealed carry licenses. If they don't know you're carrying, then they're less likely to try you. All right. So again, The View, they have a bunch of whiny women on there that don't deal in facts. They do not. They deal in emotion, and they're Democrat stooges. So they're stooges for the Democrat Party, the Democrat establishment, and they don't deal in fact. So we're here
No.
to correct them.
They don't. They
And
live in
they-
their
and
little
they
glass
want-
bubbles, their little glass houses with, with their protection or whatever. And they don't come out among the real people who live and breathe this stuff every day. And we're the ones burying our loved ones too soon. Children, every other weekend you're hearing about children being slaughtered. We're the ones, while they are, looking good in their little glass houses and fancy homes, gated fences with all the security that they could ever want.
Yeah, and some we
And
had
they're speaking for a totalitarian state. Like they are mouthpieces for a totalitarian state. I mean, I can see someone, when Hitler was coming to power, I can see someone like this lady speaking on his behalf.
Absolutely. And we had someone comment, Black Guns Matter. Absolutely. Few know that Martin Luther King Jr. applied for a permit to carry a concealed handgun after his home was firebombed in 1956. But the Alabama clergy denied his request, deeming him unsuitable. And again, there were also efforts to disarm the Black Panthers. We've seen this all throughout history. We must stand up against these gun restrictions. There are other ways other than confiscating our guns. And we've named several on this show, but they don't want to get to the root cause. Just like they don't want to get to the root cause of the spike in crime in our urban cities. They don't want to get to the root cause of the immigration, of education. They just want to control. The Democrat Party and leftists want to control us. And we've talked about this before. We do have to move on. Again, if you haven't subscribed by now, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when we go live. We do go live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Share this broadcast with your friends, with your family. Send it in a DM. Definitely continue the comments. We are checking them throughout the night. But, we're on fire and we are upset. We need to stand up against this because our lives depend on it. They really do. Our lives depend on it. So
And future generations. I do not know what's going to happen to the kids in the next generations if this will continue. I don't know if they will have the same America.
No. And you can tell, coming from, Russia. You hear, what drew you here, Yana? Because I don't think enough people know. What drew you here to the U.S.?
Well, I mean, I came here as a teen, so my at the time the economy was awful. I was born in Russia, grew up in Belarus when it separated from the rest of the country, and I mean the economy was awful. Then people had this total apathy and this idea that nothing depends on us. Like there's always someone else, has to come and save us. So, and nobody, I guess at the time, we felt like nobody is coming and everybody just failed. So that's what drove, my family to look elsewhere. And I do not want this to happen here. And I'm seeing like a rerun right now of similar situations when what was happening in Russia at the time. Things were collapsing, everybody was blaming somebody, and people were losing hope in the future. So I don't want to see it here, because where else people are going to go. And the only, like I said, the difference about America and other countries is that we have this individual freedom here and ability to defend ourselves against the government itself, which any other country does not have.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, we will continue to check the comments periodically throughout the night. We do have a comment. From Kenzie14 says, my favorite show on YouTube. Always keep us informed and never afraid to speak the truth. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. And that's a super chatter, so we really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Kenzie. All right. We are moving right along. The next crisis right now that's going on is the migrant crisis. So the migrant crisis hits cities hard, and it's a direct reflection of the failure of the federal government to secure our border. Now, this is no longer just a border issue. Now, since they've been busing these migrants up to cities across the country, these sanctuary cities, now every city is a border town, and rightfully so. Take a look at this. This is clip number 4.
The police stations have been housing hundreds of these asylum seekers. The mayor-elect, Brandon Johnson, did address this issue this morning. He says that the city needs more federal help, and his team is working on a plan to address what he calls a crisis engineered by outside forces.
But we also have to be very clear that there are families in the city of Chicago who have been ignored for a very long time, right? We got to admit that.
Thank you, Mayor.
We have to admit that. And so I want to make sure that black families who have been left out and that the brown families who want in are not seen as a divided space.
Everyone, this is the community that you're pushing this over on.
This was what city officials encountered during a community meeting at South Shore College Prep. There were so many angry outbursts, they never gave their presentation.
I don't have anything else to say. I'm ticked off. You're doing this wrong. You're doing it wrong. 250 people? Give me a break.
More than 8,000 migrants have been bused to Chicago, most of them from Texas, since late August. The city has housed asylum seekers in shelters, park district facilities, and police stations. City Hall now proposes housing 250 to 500 migrants at the shuttered South Shore High School.
It is a chair for them to sit, a place to decompress, and a place to take a hot shower. That's really what this is, and a nice meal. It's a place to decompress and not be in a police district.
Despite community pushback, the city opened a vacant Woodlawn school to migrants earlier this year. South Shore residents expressed similar concerns about safety, use of their tax dollars. Many felt blindsided.
We do not hear from city officials until election time.
All right. So, before it was, these sanctuary cities, these people in power, mostly Democrat, was saying, "Oh, you talking about Texas, talking about Florida. You are wrong. You need to let them in, let them in." Now, since they've been busing these migrants up to the cities, now it's an issue, rightfully so. It should be an issue. I want to get your thoughts on this, Shelley. That was Chicago. Now, they just had an election. Sadly, they elected somebody that I think may be worse than the lady who was there before.
I don't know. Maybe, look, I'm going to quote what I've been saying for maybe a year. Progressive policies pulverize the people they purport to protect. So what these people are getting, these citizens, and again, I would be riled up too, but guess what? They voted for these people. In many of these cities, Republicans have not been in charge for 30, 40, 50 or more years, okay? These are Democrat policies. These are Democrat consequences. The ball drops in their lap. This is what you call the coming home. Quack, quack.
Oops. Shelley, you were breaking up there. You said this is what you call what?
The chickens coming home to roost. Quack, quack.
Yeah. I want to get you in on this, T. As you see, these people are upset. They are being overrun by migrants. Their Democrat leaders are opening up schools and rec centers and taking away from their social institutions and social programs. What are your thoughts?
I am proud. I am proud that the citizens are finally standing up and fighting back and letting them know that they don't want certain people. I mean, not that they don't want them in their community, but take care of the people in the community that's paying taxes first. So I'm proud of them for pushing back. I hope that this is the beginning of issues that they push back for. And I'm just happy that they're finally doing something. The citizens are finally doing something in their community now.
Yeah. I want to get your thoughts on this, Yana. Now, today, Colors, a Democrat in Texas, a Democrat congressman, told Fox News that in the past 2 days, 6,000 people crossed the border illegally into the United States ahead of tomorrow's Title 42 expiration. This is also according to Border Patrol data, with the number of illegal crossings expected to multiply in the coming weeks, right in time for summer when it's hot. So we're gonna have a bunch of migrants and we're gonna have a bunch of killings, because summertime is time where they really start lighting up people in Baltimore, in Chicago, in Philly. What is going on? Why can't they close down our border?
This is terrifying. I mean, why they couldn't close down the border? I mean, they were blocking, the Trump's border wall. Like, they were blocking the funding for it for the longest time. I guess their idea was these people are going to come and become Democrat voters. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. They're growing the next population of voters, and they're hoping they're gonna multiply really fast. So that's probably why. And this is terrifying. And when I see these people speaking up, like, it's great that they're speaking up, but I'm noticing that these are older people, like, who still have sense. So there's these older ladies that seem, they're very well mannered. Where are their children and grandchildren? Their children and grandchildren are being indoctrinated in public schools, that we should be accepting and inclusive to everyone, including murderers and rapists that are crossing the border. And let me tell you, I know stories, real people who have actually traveled from other parts of the world into Mexico and then crossed the border into the United States. So it's not just but I'm really curious, if this was, like, let's say, a mass migration of Russians, if they had like 10,000 Russians on the border of Mexico, like with Mexico and the United States, I wonder if they would build the wall really fast, because that is what EU is doing right now. They're building a huge border right now at the border with Belarus, with Russia, and they're not letting anybody in illegally. Now in the United States, I know that would be an interesting experiment to see.
Yeah, we got to protect our sovereignty. And these Democrats, these leftists don't get it. But their people are speaking up now that these border towns have started to bus these migrants into the cities.
I love it.
Yeah. This is another clip here. Take a look at this, and then I want to get your thoughts on this, T. This is clip number 5.
Before the meeting, a small protest of South Shore neighbors demanding the energy put into the migrant issue be put into their neighborhoods.
It is a slap in the face that we as citizens of the United States of America do not have the resources and support, but you're going to bring people who are not citizens here in our community, in our buildings that we pay taxes for, that you took away from us. Yeah. That is completely unacceptable. We are in a humanitarian crisis right now. The Black people in Chicago are bleeding on the streets.
Yeah, I mean,
we've been trying to tell everyone this long time ago. Now that Shelley said the chickens are coming home to roost, now everybody wants to have something to say. Those exact same words are the words that we've been warning everyone about when it came to this issue of immigration and people freely coming into our country and not becoming citizens. We've been telling them this the whole time. So now, of course, Black people are always late to the party. Now y'all want to have protests and all of this stuff when we've been saying this the whole time.
Right.
Welcome. And now what's going to happen is they're going to lose Black votes because of this. Because Black people are they're starting to slowly see this is how many people at this protest? 10, 15, 20 more people than we had before. And they're starting to slowly see it.
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, we've been sounding the alarm, like you mentioned, T, on this for years, talking about how they just passed a bill in New York City. What was this, last summer, where they were giving illegals the right to vote. They weren't even citizens. So you have in this situation, you have them giving illegal immigrants the right to vote. They're coming in, they're pushing abortion on Black people, but the Latinos are pulling out babies and kids like rabbits. You go everywhere, there's a barrio.
Just so they can get the benefits that we pay the taxes for.
Exactly. And that's why I don't think I'm 50-50 on whether more and more Black people are waking up enough to change it. I don't know, because they're going to the same people that's doing this to them. These are the same people for years. Look, Black people, the Emancipation was signed in 1863. All this time, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, freed the Black people, civil rights legislation, and the Democrats are still trying to keep Black people on the plantation. And what did most Black people do? Yes, massa. Give me more government cheese, right? Give me more free housing in Section 8. What? I don't need take my husband and my father and the fathers. Give me free, give me free, give me free, right? That's what they sound like. And now they sitting here and they're shocked that these same people are going to bring illegal immigrants to the places where they pay taxes and other. These are the same people. Everything we've talked about tonight has been largely a systemic failure of the Democrat Party, from, if you want to call voting, the mental health issue, the immigration is crime. These are all failed Democrat policies. And for more than 60 years, many Black people have still voted these jokers in office. This is why we're in the situation we're in. This is why, because many of people that look like me and look like you and me and T and KJ, these are the people who voted these suckers in. And now, guess what? Again, the chickens are coming home to roost.
I'm glad that Florida and Texas are busing these people up to these states so they can feel it too. Like spread the wealth, or the not so wealth.
Yeah, and I want to make a comment about immigrants, other immigrants. There are plenty of wonderful people who come to this country legally, to work, to improve their life. There are even refugees. Like I work with refugees. I teach English to these people, and they come here. And the ones that I encounter, they're so grateful to be here, because they were literally saved from war and from death. And they're learning the language. They're learning the culture. They're very respectful. Now, people who are illegally crossing the border, they're already breaking the law. So they are not going to respect other laws. They're not going to respect the culture here. We need the people who would come here and they would benefit this country. So I know that when Trump was in office, he had like a merit system for people who would be applying for immigration visas. Like, that's what we need. This country does not need people who are going to come here and just use the system, trash the place, and not even learn the language when they come here and live here their entire lives, not trying to integrate at all. Why do we need people like that?
We don't. We need people that are going to push American values. And I'm all for, continuing your heritage. I support that. If you are a Caribbean American, come over here from Trinidad, Jamaica, Russia, anywhere, and you want to continue your strong heritage, of course, do that. But understand we're in America and we want to support American values. We're a melting pot. So, that's fine, but this is not what we're seeing. It's not what we're seeing at all. So
I'm more like we're already full. We already have, as we just talked, homelessness. We already have veterans. We already have children and elderly that we still have to take care of, that we aren't taken care of here. I feel like there should be how you're in a store or go out to a lounge or club or something, and they let people in once people leave out. There should be some type of system that they, let people in at certain times after they become a citizen, of course. But it's just like we're full here.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So we will continue to follow this story. We do have another super chat, Giovanni Patterson. Y'all are the real pop stars. Definitely much brighter than The View. They need to be taken down several notches. Matter fact. Oh, matter of fact, all the notches. Yes, thank you, Giovanni. We appreciate that. So thank you so much. Again, continue with the comments and subscribe. Subscribe. So if you're watching tonight, you enjoy what you're seeing, definitely subscribe. As we've seen with Tucker Carlson recently, he's parted ways with Fox, which is a big conglomerate, as we all know. And he basically saying that, he left because they were trying to force him to do things and say things and support things that he did not want to do. So that's where you need independent media like us. And so if you believe in independent media, please subscribe and share this broadcast. All right, so we are going to switch gears a little bit and talk about something more social topic, Love and Marriage Huntsville. So I'm not sure if many of you watch reality TV, but this is a reality show, a love reality show on Love and Marriage Huntsville that features a couple, Melody and Martell. So after 14 years of marriage and a multi-million-dollar real estate business, Melody divorced Martell amid him fathering a child with his longtime mistress. Though she says she didn't learn of the baby until after she left their marital home. So now they're trying to co-parent. And take a look at this. This is a recent episode. Again, this is Love and Marriage Huntsville. I believe it's either on Bravo or OWN Network. But they had a little incident at their child's birthday party. All right. So that is kind of a common issue we've been seeing. So two people divorced, two parents co-parenting. And you see there where the mother didn't want him to be at the birthday party of their child that they share. So apparently she was throwing a birthday party for the child, and she felt like the dad should not have been part of it, and he should have had a separate party for their daughter. But she did not want him at that party. I want to get your thoughts on this, T. Do you think that's cool for them to do that? Her to do that?
Why did I know you were going to come to me first on this? So people do that. It is a thing where you have your birthday party, I'm having my birthday party, because most times they're not getting along, the parents. So they have to do these things. So I understand where she was coming from with just have your own birthday party if they don't get along. But later on in that clip, you saw how the child, when she saw her dad, how she lit up. That is what it should all be about. It shouldn't be about what you feel and what you feel as the parents. It should all be about how the children are excited about seeing both parents or their father at one birthday party. I mean, of course, the children aren't going to complain about having more than one birthday party, but this is all about, at the end of the day, how the children feel and what makes the children happy.
Yeah, I want to get your thoughts on this, Yana. Again, that's a situation that's very common. Two parents are divorced or separated. It's the child's birthday or Christmas, and she said she did not want him there at the party that the mother threw. You think she was right to do that?
No. So I actually know a family that is very similar to this. It's a very similar situation. In fact, there are two sets of kids as well. And so I have to give props to the mother in that family that when her kids are having a birthday party, everybody is invited, the dad and his other kids. So because they have a relationship with them. So because for the kids, that is, their best day. They get to play with their friends and their siblings. So it's not the fact that they're divorced, that they couldn't keep it together. That is already a failure on their part. And that is already hurting the children. So why hurt the children even more by, having these this is an ego issue. The mother is her ego that's been hurt. And so she's now creating scandal because of her feelings. She's not even thinking about the kids.
Yeah. want to get your thoughts on this, Shelley. Was the mother right in loving marriage Huntsville to remove the dad from the party?
Right. Well, I had two things. Number one, I was curious as to why was this set up stage to be filmed at this child's party anyway from the
It's a
beginning?
reality show, so
No, I get that, but why even include the children and put them in this for all the world to see this foolishness? Number one. It was the child's birthday party. Whether or not the parents were arguing, it shouldn't have been filmed for all the world to see. Okay, that's one thing. But you said it's common in divorce. In my experience, and in people that I know and maybe read about, it's common with women.
It happens.
It's women. It's common with the women who do this. The women make the scene. The women cause all of, put the children back and forth more so than the dads. So it's more common that women do this and just acting unrealistic, like you said, Yana, with their ego. They have made their ego the issue and not the child. So I don't know if it's common. I know there's acrimony and divorce, of course, but I find that more women behave this way.
Well, that's because most of the times, it's the women who are the most bitter, whether it be from divorce or just separating or breaking up, because the women are the ones who are so legally, when it comes to legislating, when it comes to child court and child custody, it always favors the women. So they can do whatever they want to do. They can say whatever they want to say. They can create that whatever that is to the rules of the engagement. And so when you say, it's the women, it is the women, and the men are just like, I don't care. I don't, but some men fight back, like this father did. He left eventually, but he still was there to see his child, and that's what he did.
Yeah, I mean, we do. I hope they do. They are able to manage this and resolve it, especially for the children's case, because they're the ones who see this type of thing, and it can have lasting effects on them. So we're going to continue to follow it and monitor it. It's a popular show, Love and Marriage Huntsville. So it's been, that clip actually went viral, and I want to get you guys' thoughts on that. Speaking of mothers, we do have Mother's Day coming up. Mother's Day is this Sunday. And so, want to talk about that because, we've seen a lot of trans issues brought up, a lot of trans, with the whole Bud Light incident. And then you had these, Dylan Mulvaney, saying this person is a woman. So, at the current rate of woke efforts to dominate and redefine our world, you can imagine a day when Birthing Person's Day will replace the obsolete, old-fashioned, and exclusive, as the left would say, Mother's Day. So I want to start with you, Yana. I mean, do you think this is a real thing? Like something like this could happen? They try to change the traditional Mother's Day and call it Birthing Person's Day?
Well, I think that's the desire. That's the Marxist goal to really get rid of, I guess, traditional labels, and so they call them as labels at this point. That mother is not, there's nothing biological anymore, and it's a Marxist idea. And that's what they want. They want to change culture, and I have to say that they might succeed if we continue to send kids to public schools. Mm-hmm. It will happen because they will keep pushing this on the kids, and then the kids will start arguing with the parents, even if the parents might still have common sense, but they I'm sorry, but we might lose this battle if we're not careful.
I wish my children would send me a letter or card saying happy birthing person's day.
Yeah, but it feels like us four are the only ones standing up against this. I mean, you have women who are actually co-signing this idea of removing mother and calling themselves birthing persons. I mean, it's already in government material and things. I believe it was medical terms, like when they're talking about breastfeeding and different procedures that really only women can have. They're now defining it as a birthing person or a person with a uterus. It's ridiculous. But again, it goes to this idea of trying to deconstruct and redefine and destroy the family unit. What are your thoughts here, Shelley?
Well, my thoughts are this. Nobody is going to take away my experience and my memories of my leaky breasts, right? Nobody's going to take away that experience. Nobody's going to take away the experience that I had to, throwing up for almost all 9 months and not going to do it. Can barely walk at a certain time. Not going to take that away. The best thing, the word that I love, I am so grateful to be called, is mother and mommy. That they're not going to take that away from me. I don't care what transition you go through. If you have 2 X chromosomes, you are a woman. You are a female. If you have an XY chromosome, you are a male. That's it. You can cut it off, chop it up, rearrange it or whatever, but that's it. You're not going to take their experience from me, and you're not going to change those facts.
Yeah. So, we've talked about a lot of things tonight, with this being Mother's Day, as we mentioned. I want to wish all of the mothers, all of the females, and even females who fill in as aunts, as mothers for, people, a happy Mother's Day.
Can we say women instead of females?
I'll say adult female. We are adult females because they're trying to erase women. They're trying to erase women.
That's why we need that word.
People who with penises and testicles are calling themselves women. I mean, this is a real thing. It's really crazy, but it's true. So all of the females out there, as what was the lady we talked about before? Jane, what's her name? The lady from England,
Kelly J,
Kelly Jane, and Megan Kelly, and everyone. We salute you. You are women. You are adult females, and we love that, and we applaud you. Any final thoughts before we go tonight, T?
Yes, I would say that Happy Mother's Day to all of the women, and all of the how they try to say fathers or mothers, mothers or fathers. No, this is just Women's Day. Happy Mother's Day. Also, let's try to stay the course because this is all out of hand. I know we have so many more subscribers now, and welcome you all, but we're going to stay the course, and we have to stay the fight because this is wicked. This is evil. Whatever we can do, however you can support us to keep the message going, please do it, because we are probably the last of the few who are trying to keep this going and standing up for our rights.
Absolutely. The lion's at the gate, as Shelley would say. Final thoughts, Yana, for this broadcast and for our viewers.
Well, also happy Mother's Day to all the real mothers who are women. And also, I'm happy to see all the people, all the subscribers that are watching. I'm calling for anyone who believes in women's rights to support us and to support this cause, because we're really for women's rights, like the old-fashioned style. So this is, we all have to support each other. So happy Mother's Day to all women who are either mothers or aunties or grandmothers, everyone.
Right.
But just women.
All right. Shelley, final words for our viewers.
Yeah. So in light of all the topics that we've talked about, I would encourage and, suggest that all you ladies don't go out to eat. I mean, eat, have fun, but take your daughters to the range. Get them some training. And again, as KJ said, we are the lions at the gate. Be the lions. The chickens are roosting, but the lions need to roar.
Lioness.
Absolutely. And I'll second that. Everyone, I agree with everything that was already said. And my call to arms would be to all of the mama bears out there, you know, who are at the Board of Education meetings and at the PTA meetings and in the streets and in the classrooms, pushing against this this wicked and sick sexualization of our children, pushing back against the ridiculous woke education and woke mentality that we are seeing, that they are trying to indoctrinate within our children. Stand up, mama bears, this Mother's Day and every day thereafter, and take control and speak out. No more sitting back and watching and waiting and being quiet. Speak out against it, because this is what they are waiting. They're counting on us to do, to be silent. We are no longer silent. We cannot afford to be silent, not for us, not for our children, not for the next generation. So stand up this Mother's Day, push back, speak out, share this broadcast. If you see another of one of our videos, please share that as well, because we are not taking it. We're standing up for all of our children, all of them. They cannot have them. The government cannot have them. They're ours. So enjoy. All right. So this brings us to the end of our show. Thanks so much for watching. Continue the conversation, again, by checking us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And as I've been saying all night, subscribe. Hit that notifications bell. That way you always know when we go live. You can also get up-to-the-minute content on our website at www.popandpoliticslive.com. We are an independent media, and each time you subscribe, it helps make our voice that much stronger. We are a necessary voice in news and entertainment. We will see you again next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.
Not every person who gives birth is a woman. You have intersex people, non-binary people, and trans men.
Are you a girl?
No.
Are you a boy?
No.
I'm just a person.
I am.
You shifted from using the term mother to birthing people.
Black birthing people. Black birthing people. Black and indigenous birthing people.
Is the administration's official policy to replace the term woman with birthing people?
I was a little taken back when I just read it and saw it, that the term mother was gone in spots and it was replaced with birthing people.
Again, if we're trying to be precise in the language that's used.
Mom's a pretty good word.